not super interested in running personally, but I want to support good, solid conservative candidates who love Charleston and will well represent the town. So, that being said, I know a lot of people here. I don't know everybody. Do we want to just go around the room real quick, introduce yourself, maybe say how long you've been in Charleston, and maybe one thing that you love about the community?
Scott Keller, I've been here since 1970.
What do you love about the community, Scott?
What do I love about it is it's rural.
We want to keep it.
Ian Ferguson, I am Scott's favorite son-in-law. I'm his only son-in-law. Nicole and I have been married for 18 years, so I've been tied to Scott for 18 years. He can't get rid of me, so you're helping Scott.
Okay.
So I'm Nicole. I grew up in Charleston and I'm moving back into Charleston to help my parents out, but this place has always been very near and dear to my heart. I love that so far it hasn't turned into Midway and Heber, and I love that it's this little tight-knit community with just good old-fashioned roots.
Off.
I'm Bob Koalas. I've always been a local fellow, except when I wasn't. We moved back into the area in 2010, left in 1960. And I lived right across from the town park. So like my mother-in-law before me, everything that goes on over there is a personal issue of mine.
And Bob used to be mayor too, just for the record.
What's Heber Light and Power doing, Brenda?
Still in me.
So Bob used to be mayor and Brenda is the current mayor. So we're just going around, Brenda, doing introductions for those who don't know us all. And so we were doing what your name is, how long you've been in Charleston, and your favorite thing about the community.
Okay,
So if you want to go.
my name is Brenda Christensen. I am the current mayor. I have been in this community since 1972. What I love about this community is the beauty and the camaraderie between the people.
I'm Susie Larson, and I am born and raised here almost 54 years. Birthday's coming up. And I think I love about Charleston, I mean, it's my childhood, but it's the people, all people.
Oh, did we not fit that door?
Drive till you see cars.
You guys can keep going. We got Miss Larson and your Layton's wife,
Yes. Skyler.
Skylar. Is that
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah, I've only lived here for almost a year, but with Layton, but Lynn and Layton have lived here for a long time.
Mike.
So I'm Michael Hill. I've been here 45 years. And I like town.
I'm Mark Hendricks. I've been here 30 years. I built Lori's house, big part of all this.
I'm here.
Hey, Lori.
Hey, sorry, I had to figure out how to unmute it on my phone.
It's all right. Charleston, it's flat out the best spot in the whole valley. If you've been around this valley from one end to the other, no comparison. This little nook, right where we are here, hands down, the best spot. The people are fantastic. Try and keep it that way.
All right, I'm Lynn Fountain, previously Lynn Flora, and I've been here with my parents since 1962. We bought her house for $9,000 on 2 acres in 62, so.
I'll give you twice what you paid.
And what I love about Charleston is the openness, I mean, and everybody knows everybody, and we see what's happening in Heber and Daniels and Midway, and we don't want that. We want to keep it Charleston special. Brenda Gemmel, I have been here 19 years. Yeah, one of my favorite things is the fact that all my neighbors have lived in my house. Yeah, seriously, like 5 of them or 6. Some are even born in her house. And I love my porch and the view to Tim, Tim, and yeah, the people are fantastic. It's a great community. It's nice to give back to the community in different ways. Yeah, it's great.
So I'm Don Sant. I've been here since 2021. And I also love the beauty of Timpanogos. I love the San Cranes. I love all that. It's like an aviary. Every time you go out, it's a great place to watch birds. It's a beautiful, beautiful place.
I'm Lisa Sant. I've been here since 2021 and I love the openness and the realness of Charleston.
I'm Kay Sheehan. I've been here since 97. My husband and I bought our house in 92 for under $200,000. We have the old Hiram Winterton home on 3,000 of Redwood with the white pillars with 2.5 acres of horses. And you all know my little dog Luna, but none of you know me. I'm just the lady on the end of the leash. I love everything about Charleston. I love that people come by my house and say I had slumber parties here as a kid. I love people, I love the atmosphere, and I really would like, as much as possible, to keep it the way we all know it.
So we were just going around doing introductions and just introducing ourselves, saying how long we've been here, and one thing about
Okay.
Great.
Hey.
I'm Jessica Shepherd. I grew up in Charleston and since moved back to Charleston, raising my kids. And it's home for us. So
Meg Sadie, born and raised in Charleston, been here almost all my life. Love Charleston, wouldn't go anywhere else.
Karen?
I'm Karen and I'm the clerk and I've lived here my entire life as well as my friends in 7 generations in the same home. So I've been here a long time.
Okay, I'm Jason Fountain. I'm Skylar's husband and Lynn's my mother, and I've been here since 2003, 2004. 2001. I've been here forever. I like the 2-acre lots. I like I have community cars, even though the school, Soldier Hall was slightly changed that, but it's still a good place and I enjoy the kids and yeah, I love how open it is and the friendly neighbors.
So Leighton is also Laura's liaison who is helping us put this on today.
Yeah, we're not being here. Yeah, I'm helping out and putting this all together and yeah, helping out.
So my name's Sean Taylor. I moved up here in 2017. I grew up in Utah. I don't know where that is, in between Duchesne and Cabiona. It's a little bit more rural than Charleston, if that's possible. But my wife grew up in Sandy, and I used to always tell her that the Heber Valley was the perfect mix of ritzy and redneck. And we should really move here. And so, I do have a car on the blocks in the backyard, so I'm trying to hold through the redneck side. Laurie's got the ritzy side down, so we're keeping the basics covered. That being said, Laurie's on the Zoom here. I'm not sure who else we have on the Zoom.
Jim or me.
Do you want to introduce you guys, whoever's on the Zoom? Laurie?
I'm here. Well, I'm on Zoom. Anybody else?
You want to tell these guys about yourself for those who don't know you?
Yes. So it's our house, obviously, with my husband, James Gagan. We moved to Utah in 2015, then found our home in 2018 in Charleston. It was the Dowell's old farmhouse. They had lived there for a while, and their kids and grandkids grew up. And so we bought the property in 2018 and remodeled the old farmhouse. And then in 2020, started building the current house that everybody's sitting in, and decided to build up so we wouldn't miss the view. It doubled our square footage, and now it's just a little bit too big for us. That's why it's for sale. We love Charleston. We love the small town feeling. I love looking at the cows and all the chickens and the horses that surround it. And I love the people in Charleston. And that's why one of the reasons Sean and I wanted to have this meeting, because we weren't sure how many people in Charleston knew what was going on. And all I know is that the circle that I run in the political side of things, which I never really thought I'd be involved in the political side. I didn't like what I saw that was coming with big developers wanting to take the gem. Stop. Ori, I was stopping. I wasn't gonna hit the gate. Sorry, we're driving on the Skyway. So we're at currently, my brother passed, and so we're in Indiana. On a way to a funeral. Anyway, so we love Charleston, what it stands for, and I I don't like that, honestly, big developers want the rest of what Charleston is all about. I love the small town field and love the people in it. And I know taxes are an issue, and everything that's going on is just going to unfortunately raise taxes for people who are already, working hard, double jobs, or struggling just to pay the taxes. So Sean and I decided to put this meeting together to educate as many people as we can, because the first Thursday in June is when our voices need to be heard, and we don't want it to be too late. So a little bit about Jim and I.
Good song. Is there anybody else on Zoom, or is it just you and Jim, Laurie?
Do you see the participants? It shows there's 3 participants. If you just click on that.
I can, I have it so it's not video, it doesn't show, but I can change that,
So for those of you guys who came late, like Laurie was saying, this whole thing stemmed from a discussion that Laurie and I had. It's kind of an off election year, and elections are important, and it's good to have, the community involved with those. And just for the record, I don't want to run for town board, not this time around, maybe in the future I will. So that's not why we put this thing together. But I just wanted to have a forum to find out who was interested, inform the town, members of kind of the logistics of it. Because if people are going to make commitments to do things like the town board, I want to see them make and keep commitments. Since I've been here, there were several people that had to drop out as board members for whatever reason, and it's good to see people see their term through. So that being said, kind of on the agenda, my thought is we could talk about maybe a couple of little issues that are maybe concerning to the group. And I love that we have a couple town board and the mayor here, so they can kind of hear those concerns. So maybe just like, if you guys have any little brief comments of things that are hot button for you that you'd like to kind of bring to the attention of the group, and then we were going to have Dawn just give a brief overview of the duties and responsibilities of town board members, so that anybody who does want to run knows what it is they're signing up for, right? That being said, I know there is a lot of growth here in Charleston, and one thing that I'm personally concerned about is I know when we break the 1,000 resident threshold, it does change the town from a township to a city. And I also love the rural feel of Charleston, and I just think that that's one thing that as we grow, I realize that we're going to hit that threshold eventually, no matter what, right? But that's one thing that I'm concerned about, is just having guided growth here in Charleston. So, anybody else has any comments?
Where's the town at right now? You say cresting 1,000. Where are we at right now?
We're about 700.
That was my understanding too. Okay.
So we're one high density out of nowhere, essentially.
They will start the census in 27, start passing that out. I just got notification of that.
We're
They'll start, yeah,
We're just shy of about 260 tons.
yeah. Then everything changes, and you have to run like a city, so you'd be like Midway or Heber.
Laurie, did you have anything you wanted to bring up?
Sean, I think just staying on the agenda, I think my biggest concern is, how is the water, how is all that going to affect the taxes? What's happening with the gas station? What's happening with the 40 acres? you know, that want to get annexed in. And, you know, my concern is I feel that so many people in Charleston don't know. Nobody's got time to do the research. And I'll be quite honest, not everybody can show up at, you know, a board meeting on Thursdays, and there's not enough of us like showing up on Zoom. I mean, even including myself. And I feel that Charleston, if we don't take a stance while a voice can be heard, it's going to be stolen from right under our feet. And that's just my feeling. I mean, we moved to Charleston because it had that small town feeling. And I personally don't want to be a Midway, nor do I want to be a Heber, nor do I want to be governed by UDOT or any other, you know, political thing that comes with it when you become a city like Midway or Heber. We lose a lot. And I think everybody needs to really understand, and everybody needs to show up, and we'll continue having these meetings if that's what it takes to keep educating the people in Charleston. So that's about it, Sean.
Does anybody, I mean, so this is just a cottage meeting, you guys, this isn't super formal, right? This is really just a big group conversation that we're having here. And we're all concerned enough that we love the community and we want to be out here, so. That being said.
Question for this property, and this is my fault, I didn't get the planning commission. Were you granted a subdivision permit for this property?
Which property?
You're asking Laurie?
Yes.
Yes?
Which property are we talking
This
about?
property. This house and the adjacent property.
So is it a subdivision?
No, Laura, so Lori, she's trying to sell this house. You can chime in here, Laurie.
I didn't hear the question, Sean.
The question was about your subdivision here with your process of selling the property.
So the house that you're currently in sits on 5 acres. 4 acres is greenbelt. And then 3.5 acres on the north side will be for a single house because that's how it's being proposed. With a septic, whether it's hybrid or regular, it depends on who's gonna buy it. But it's not gonna be subdivided for multiple houses, and the goal is that whoever buys this house will fall in love with the land and want to keep the 3.5 acres to the north of us. So, but it has nothing to do with the meeting.
Yeah, no, I was just curious. I knew that you had the house. I knew you had acreage on north and the south that was big enough to put a house. And like I say, I was remiss at not going to planning commission meetings, so I just wasn't sure where we were on that.
Right, we got approval for that about 3 weeks ago.
What is the acreage? House on?
Hey, Sean, what's on the agenda next?
It was just kind of an open discussion here about any issues that we had.
I think
on people's mind, and then we were gonna have Dawn speak, but I mean, we can, at the end of it, we were gonna do a Q&A. I wasn't sure. I was hopeful that we would have multiple people here that were hoping to run for town board.
Right.
We do have Brenda. Brenda's expressed to me that she wants to run again. So we wanted to give them some opportunity to speak and then maybe do a Q&A with them. So we can kind of save some of these concerns to the end. If we want to just jump into you, Dawn. Just a brief overview of the role and responsibilities that you would have as a town board member or as mayor, just so people know if they are thinking of running, what's the commitment.
So I'm Don Sant. We've lived here since 2021, but I feel like it's home. We love it here. I will probably default to a number of things to the mayor because she's actually here. To be a town council member is to represent your best interests. And that's why I'm really happy to see everybody here to speak, so we understand what those are, so we can, in fact, represent your best interests. At our town council meetings, you're all invited, Zoom or otherwise, and we value and we want that feedback and input, because without it, we don't know which way to steer, right? So yeah, people that are dedicated and committed to this community, dedicated and committed to each of you. But we need to hear from you so that we can in fact do those things. Now, we do have challenges, and you got a number of things here that I'm just gonna touch base on. She mentioned water. I also have to be on the water board. Water is our, in my opinion, biggest challenge, right? Especially for growth and development. We have to have enough water, not only for drinking water, but you gotta have enough for fire suppression. And we got some real challenges. When you look at the total number of customers that we have, we're roughly 260 billable customers. But we have more pipe under the ground than pretty much any city around for our 260 little homes, and we all depend on that water. Maintaining that is a real challenge, and this pipes are getting old. I'm gonna comment on a couple of things. You have a big tank up above Soldier Hollow. It's a 500,000 gallon tank. Great, it's spring fed. When we have drought, we have very little water. All right, fortunately, we got a very good town well. We have another tank that's up above the cemetery. It's a 300,000. So between the two, we got 800,000 gallons. We need money and budget. This would be for the water. But we have to begin to pump water from our town well up to the 500,000 gallon tank in Soldier Hollow, so we have a place to collect the water for future needs. If you look at future projections, and I'm also closely tied to Soldier Hollow and the Utah Olympic Legacy Foundation. The 2034 Olympics, we're worried about having enough snow to even host it. Right? In fact, we're going as far as to find ways to make snow, find ways to cover the snow all summer long, so that we have enough snow to actually get out there on the trails. So water is a huge challenge for us, whether it's development, whether it's for individual community members. If you follow what happened in California with a bunch of houses burning down, if you look at our water situation right now and our current fire suppression ability, if more than 3 houses were on fire at once, pick and choose who you're going to say, because we don't have enough water. Okay, so super important. Town council, love serving on town council. It is a lot of work. I have to be the zoning officer. How I became the zoning officer, I have no idea, other than when they asked me to become the zoning officer, so that's what I do, and I try to help however I can. We have ordinances that need to be brought up to speed, ordinances that are old, miswritten, things that need to be brought up to today's time frame. All needs to be digitized, needs to be published on our website so we can see it, including developers, right, that are interested in the area. Other responsibilities of town council, mayor assigns folks that are going to be responsible for Pioneer Day, and be responsible for the park, the cemetery, roads. There's a variety of other things, but she'll assign who's responsible for what, and then that's the town council's, the members' responsibility to go out and try to find a way to best represent everybody's interest. I think that's about all that I could offer. Does anybody have any questions?
How many seats are available or coming available?
Two.
No.
And how many seats are in total? 5?
3,
3?
or, I mean, on
Yeah.
council.
Yeah, 5, yeah.
It's like 4 council members and a mayor.
Okay, and if we became a city, if this is off topic, would that increase or would the council of
Not
5?
necessarily.
Oh,
There'd
okay.
have to be a petition to go to a 7.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Karen.
So what does a commitment entail? If someone wanted to be on a town board, how many hours could they expect to be in meetings or otherwise engaged in the community?
So it varies tremendously. Of course, we have our meetings once a month, but prior to that, as Pioneer Day approaches, we'll have 5-6 meetings in, and we'll spend hours. It'll be 3 or 4 weeks in preparation for just Pioneer Day alone.
Budget meetings.
Budget meetings also take a lot of time. It's outside of your regular routine. For me, as zoning, I spend a lot of time with our new attorney, trying to get all our ordinances up to speed. I review all the ordinances. I do a lot of legal work. So the total number of hours, I probably spend, I'd say at least 10 to 15 hours a week trying to get through all of our legal things and things that we need to do to best position ourselves for the future. Well, did that answer your question? And then if you have any specifics regarding the mayor, I would ask the mayor. And then I'd also just like to recognize that everybody, we have Karen Mayor here as well. If you guys haven't met Karen, Karen is dedicated to us beyond. And it's a thankless job. So
Yeah,
also thank you.
very low on the financial compensation level. Also, is that a correct statement?
It's a volunteer position.
Yeah.
It's a volunteer position.
What are the requirements to run?
Community members, live in Charleston, you have community members that don't feel like you're gonna represent the best interest of the community and.
After done it 12 consecutive months, you have to be a registered voter and no felonies or, no convictions, anything like that.
And Don, it's a 3-year commitment still,
Four.
yeah? Four?
Every 2 years.
Yeah, it's offset every.
It's offset every 2 years.
But in my case, I actually took Darrell Nish's spot to finish his term. It was an open position, nobody else jumped up to say, who me? So I guess I just kind of rolled into that, took Darrell's spot so that I could help whoever. That's what happens when you have members of the community that are very happy to move on.
What's the salary?
For a council member? $130.
With taxes, you make $137 a month.
$137 a month. Which is more than water, we're getting $50 a month. For the water.
I don't know if we got anything when I was on the planning commission. I was just like.
The planning commission is appointed.
Yeah.
If the planning commission is appointed, it's
Yeah,
not, it's not
it's
a
like-
seat, so there's no time.
If you're interested in the money, this is not. This is not much money.
No.
If you're interested in the community, preserving the community, or helping it develop and guide it.
I guess they asked
You first have to invite in
3 of them response.
and then make sure you're-
Weren't sure.
So Don, I have a question. So since the water is already an issue, and my spin on the gas station is my personal opinion. I did speak to, the realtor kind of involved in the Holiday gas station. I mean, yes, he says that there's going to be some tax money for Charleston. My opinion is that anybody coming with a boat isn't going to pass Deer Creek to go to Charleston to fill up and go back, nor is anybody going to come off of the main street at Heber going to Strawberry to go all the way to Charleston to gas their boat, because they're going to stop before that. But it's going to take water. And so is the water that the gas station is going to need, I mean, who's responsible to pay that? Is that the people in Charleston, like Lynn and Susie and even myself there? Somebody's got to pay for it.
Yeah, they do.
So it falls.
They have to pay for their own hookup, and they charge a commercial rate, which is part of the water board rate, and they also get a larger meter, so they have to pay more.
Where does the money come from initially? Where's the money coming from, like, initially? I mean, obviously I know Holiday gas station is going to pay, but who's got to pay for the water? Are you saying that, people like Lynn Fontaine are not going to see a penny increase in any of their taxes?
No, absolutely not. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, I'm telling you right now, we have done ourselves a disservice. This is me talking just because the way I feel. We have kept our water rates so low for so long. We're headed for a real problem. We don't have enough money in the kitty to go in and fix all the leaks that we have throughout this community. We're losing 430 million gallons of water a month. Million.
This is on the main feed, not the residential.
It's throughout the entire community.
North Canal or South Canal?
Talking the entire community for water that's in the tank versus water that's sold.
Drinking.
Drinking.
We're not talking irrigation.
So You know, I'm also very concerned about people's pocketbooks and making certain that we do the right things. I'm equally concerned that y'all have water to drink. Right? And to have water to drink means you have to maintain the lines. To maintain the lines means you need money and people to do it. Right? We have very little of any of the above.
Well, Don, we're talking an awful lot about water, and Charleston has no control.
No, they don't, Wasatch County
It's
does.
a different entity entirely, my understanding.
Well, it's just the Charleston Water Conservancy District. It's a different district, but it's still your district. It's still your community.
Yeah.
The developments we approved though impact water districts, I mean, they're linked. And so Don being on both boards, I mean, these are great questions for Don, I think.
Well, you on the water board too?
Can I ask you a question?
Of course.
So this hundred unit place, condominiums, you approved?
No,
Or,
not yet.
Not yet, not yet. I know, I'm sorry. Don't get mad at me.
I'm just, get your facts straight.
Go ahead.
That you're thinking about approving.
Okay.
Okay, what's that gonna affect our water pressure down in Lower Charleston?
It'd be a problem. Absolutely be a problem. So let's make sure that everybody's informed. Okay. We hired an outside consultant to do a study to talk about what the future of Charleston could be. What the development would look like, how much commercial property you need, how much density homes you need. You know, it was a study, right? So that we can educate ourselves to make better informed decisions. That's all it is. Okay. Now, a lot of questions regarding that 100 acres. So let's be very, very clear about this. They have petitioned for annexation.
In Heber City.
You know, David Charleston. Okay, so they petitioned to be in Heber City. And at this point, they actually haven't served it. We've acknowledged that you can go forward, right? But we have not approved any plans, right? All it is an annexation request. Now, this
But
is
I'm not exactly clear where this property is.
right down 24.
It's right out.
Right down
Oh.
the road as you approach Highway 189.
It corners
I
on
know where it is. I can strike over him. So yes.
And it's not 100 acres.
No, it's.
It's not
just
100
It
acres.
pieces.
Well,
Pieces
all,
that
all,
people-
all, it's not 100 acres.
That one's about 40
Yeah.
to start with, but that would
And
be.
if that is annexed in, it will be annexed into the town the way it sets right now.
That's
Five
Yeah.
residential, 5, or agriculture 5, okay? If they want to change that, then they have to come back later and do it. We don't do
Request.
that. Yeah,
Request
request it.
it and vote on it. That has to be approved by the town.
by town council. So what the mayor is saying here is really, really important. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure that everybody understands. When
Okay.
people,
We're already concerned about water, why could we even?
so let me answer this real quick. Let me answer. We're just hang off for a second. Let me answer. So right now, that's all in the county. And just as the mayor said, it's RA5. Okay, what are your options? You can permit this annexation into the town of Charleston. We would require that they bring it in how the county currently has its own RA5,
And what would the benefit of bringing it into our town be?
because then you can help control what the land will be developed, how it will be developed.
That's not
Yeah,
good.
we don't, well, if we don't annex it in, Heber City could do it.
And they
Not with the agreement that they have on 2400.
You're talking about the sewer, right?
Right.
Which you may or may not be.
right.
But if the sewer doesn't go in,
But
the county's.
what's that gonna do for taxes and for everybody that's here?
As far as taxes. Yeah, so it would increase the overall tax revenue to the town. And again, we're hurt as a community for water and just our community and trying to we have to maintain our own roads. We have to plow our own roads, we have to buy our own trucks. We have to do all that. And you guys talk about property taxes. The property taxes are outrageous. You know how much of the property tax goes to the town of Charleston?
about that much. Yeah. And so it's not, so it's only gonna bring in that much. Yeah. And so if it's annexed in, we have to plow the roads and we have to hook them up to the water. If Heber City annexes it in, they'll have to provide the water, correct?
Yeah, I mean, all that, they don't have to actually provide the water, they'll have to petition work with Charleston Water
Yeah,
Customers.
so, and if we don't have the water right now, you're telling me we don't have enough water, so we have to deny.
But it's a
So like Heber City, where you?
Well, so that means then if Heber City wants to make it high density apartment buildings.
It's gonna be anyway, sooner or later. If they annex
I
it,
disagree with that.
yeah, if
And I
they've
don't
got
want-
enough, big enough lawyers and they annex it, they'll do it.
Yeah,
They can, because they can petition the state of Utah and say, they're not letting me do, it's my land, I wanna do what I want.
They'll do it.
And the state of Utah goes wrong, the townships.
Already, we're going for zero density, so once it's annexed in.
So I know a lot of people get our permit for annexing land in. My personal opinion is I agree with what Don said. So I'm just saying, this is my personal opinion, right? Like, you know, I'm helping host this, but definitely not seeing anything here. But I kind of agree with Don. I was down at a Riverton City Council meeting last month, because that's where my business is. So if I'm ever down there on city council meeting night, I'm always there. And they were changing the zoning of a piece of property to an extremely liberal commercial zoning. It was like the most liberal commercial zoning you could have. And in the process, some of the residents brought up, hey, they could do anything with this property. We need to kind of rein this in and have like a specific contract with the developer so that we have a known use out of all the available uses, what that's going to be. So they tabled it that night until they had that contract in place. So personally, if you annex in this property, I don't view it as a negative thing for Charleston per se, because Brenda's right and Dawn's right. That gives you the ability as citizens to have say in what happens there. If it's in the county and we don't have any say in it.
So could
Yeah,
you
but-
just say like one house on 5 acres and then 5 acres open, like you were saying?
Yeah.
If they annex it in, it'd be commercial or residential.
Through the annex.
So it'd be whatever it currently is.
It's RA5.
RA5.
So it'd be resident, if it's annexed in,
it's RA5.
it would stay in our residential.
Yeah.
Because what we've run into town now is once it's commercial, they can do whatever they want. That's come up before the board and they said, well, it's commercial, they can do what they want.
So that's, see, that Riverton comment though, they put handcuffs on that developer in the rezoning process. And I kind of like that idea, because if I was a resident there, I would want to have that contract with the town on approved uses, even though the.
But that would have to be done.
Unless the legislature passes something, because see,
Or before.
we found out the legislature changes it, and now they can have zero density, they build. You know, we tried to keep Charleston rural in design. Well, the legislature changed that. You can build a house upside down if you want. You can build it any color you want. You can do anything you want.
And all we're doing is trying to do is control the things we can
So-
control.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Sir,
Once
my,
you annex it, you're stuck.
my concern is, and I'm not
I get
in
sick.
favor of rural, I mean, you know, we came here because we loved it. Right. But if we give up our control and let someone else annex it, let it go to Daniel or let it go to Heber,
Or stay in the county.
yeah, or stay in the county. The people sitting here and the rest of the people that live in this community have no say. And yes, the legislature can overpower, a lot of things can overpower us. But let's just keep, I sound like I'm making a political, I don't wanna run for the board, I was on the planning commission, I'm way too old. Okay, but I just think that as long as we can keep whatever power we have, we should try to do that.
This gentleman's trying to say something forever. so-
Well, from what I'm hearing, it comes down to, boil it down to two basic questions. Give the power up to somebody we don't know. Or keep it here and do what the best we can. with it.
Yes.
And the best we can, somebody with, the Utah State Legislator may come in and they may say, imminent to whatever they say, we're the Utah State Legislator, so we can do whatever we want. But for the time, if we choose to annex that in, we have a say and we have power. Or we leave that up to anybody else, really.
Don't give up your power.
For the most part, you were very active.
So who do you give it up to, Phil?
That's the question, yeah, we don't know. If the question is to annex it in, least we keep it here and do our the best we can. If we don't, it's my understanding that it could be cheaper, it could be the city.
It could be dangerous.
Yeah.
It could
Yeah,
be
yeah,
dangerous.
yeah, no.
As far as I
They've
know,
done- they're-
last annexation was the state of Charleston property, the Deanna Bingley and Mill
And that went to damage.
No, I got annexed into Charleston. And I live right next to the concrete plant. I'm right there. When they blast, it shakes my entire house. And when they do that, I get on my phone and I don't call Brenda. I message the guys from Staker Park Service. I'm trying to be a good neighbor. And I say, hey, guys, let's tone that freaking right down. And so I try to be a good neighbor with them. That plant is very impactful on my house, and on my serenity and peace of mind. And at the same time, I respect their private property rights, and I want them to be as small mitigation on me as possible. But when that annex came up, I realized that by having it annexed into Charleston, gave us say on what happens to that property.
You at least have a
So-
voice.
So listen to.
I was gonna say, is that annex, because if they piss me off and I realize I can't work with Staker, I can't work with Mel and Deanna for whatever reason, which they've been pretty receptive to all the concerns that the neighbors have had so far, so they get a little small gold star, not a big one, but a small one. But I mean, on the water board side, when they blast, our 300,000 gallon tank is right there. I'm extremely concerned about the continuity of that tank based on how hard it shakes our houses. And so, we can't, Mel might not like me to say this, but we can't let that plant come any closer to that tank. Not my house. My house isn't a $10 million tank. But if it gets any closer to that tank and they crack that tank, it's like Don said, we can't replace it. It's impossible. And I question if it's not leaking 1 million gallons right now every month out of that tank.
We got a study taking place, we just hired some people to review.
So,
Listening. all that.
but anyways, back to the annex thing, so I do kind of want to move on a little bit to anybody who wants to run kind of candidates and give them the opportunity to give a little stump speech. And then at the end, we can go right back to this if Dawn is
I do want to say one
gracious
thing.
enough to
Yeah,
stick
no,
around
no.
and answer more questions.
I do want to say one thing.
Go ahead.
The other good thing about having it annexed in and having some influence or control, you talk about state parsons. If they weren't annexed in, the town community couldn't do anything about it. For example, we can put in noise ordinances. We can put in ordinances to say you can only blast from 8 AM till 5 PM. So is it ideal that we have people blasting in our community? No. But do we have the ability to at least somehow impact it based on the ordinances because we're annexed into the town of Charleston?
Exactly.
Yes.
And so back to my point, if they piss me off enough, I'm gonna go to the town board and I'm gonna say, guys, we have to pass ordinances. My brother, who lives 2 doors down from me, he's more pissed off at the plant than I am. But I've got more free concrete from them than he's gotten. And so, he works in the mining industry, he builds with fly rock and a lot of those safety considerations. And we have neighbors that are within that fly rock zone, so when they blast, it's possible for rocks to go into people's yards. And so it is a concern, and so, based on trying to have a good relationship with my neighbors, we try to have good communication, but if that ever broke down, like Dawn said, we have the ability, since that property is annexed in, to have a meaningful say on the mining operations that take place. So that being said, I want to get back, so I like this, this is a great forum.
I've got one other thought on this regarding these 100 acres and annexing into Charleston. It's really easy to go, well, we can't do much. If it's annexed in, we may not be able to do everything that we want to do, or we can't do much. And it reminds me a lot of Main Street in Heber. Yeah. Everyone just kicked the can down the road on that issue, and it's been kicked down the road for, I moved to the valley when I was 14, so over 30 years ago. And it's been kicked down the road for over 30 years in Main Street. You can't sit and do nothing.
Yeah.
And if there's 2 choices in front of you, you can't say, well, I don't like either one of those. Because then the worst thing is gonna happen.
Absolutely.
So figure it out and figure out what you feel is best for Charleston and the rural feel that's here, and then do something about it.
So these
Instead of
issues that
kicking
we're
them.
kind of touching on, this is why the town board is so important, right? And that's why, like, Laurie and I thought that it was important, just because the deadline is the 5th of next month, right, Karen? for submitting an application to run. The
And the-
6th.
On the sixth is on the Friday, but we're not typically open, so if anybody does wanna start canvassing, you gotta let me know. So I can make
So
arrangements.
There's
to
a
meet
really,
someone there.
small window, and you know, I don't always see eye to eye with everything the board does. I mean, Brenda and I, we've had our moments. We've had some pretty heated moments over the years. And at the same time, like, I like Mark and Scott, they're good enough guys. But to me, incumbent is a dirty word. I think that every politician should be challenged on every election. When we have an election and nobody runs against them, I'm just like, how do they justify staying in that seat? And so one of the things that I wanted to do in this meeting is I want to find out who, if anyone, is interested to run against Brenda and Scott and Mark, and give them an opportunity to present their case on why they should consider voting for them. And those who want to be reelected, so Brenda's the only one here. You know, I'd love to give her some time to speak and to you know, kind of maybe answer a little bit of questions from you guys and plead her case on why we should reelect her. And then that being said too, if anybody else is interested in running, you know, you don't have to raise your hand and out yourself right now in this meeting per se, but I'd love it if you did. And would love to give you the floor to be able to explain the things that you love about the town, what you'd like to see for your vision of the town, how you feel we've done in the past, and how we can have a future for the town that stays within the guidelines that us as residents would like to have. And so that being said, I want to get back to this Q&A thing. If Brenda and Dawn would be gracious enough to stay a little bit at the end. I'd love to have you guys have some Q&A stuff.
I'll say, just want to have one. The town is growing. We can grow intelligently. We can grow with compassion. We can grow with people's input, or we can hide our head in the sand, right? The other thing is to maintain the roads, to buy snow trucks. You know, we had to save 2 years to buy a single snow truck, right? We don't get help from the county for these things. So we do need more revenue in the town. Right? We don't have control of how much we get from property taxes because it's all divvied out based on population. We have very small populations, so we get hardly any. Or we mentioned holiday oil, sales tax. Would we get some sales tax revenue? Yeah, very little. Guess what? You don't get any sales tax revenue on fuel, period. It's all federal. Nobody gets any sales tax revenue.
That comes out of your BBC road.
Right.
So as we're getting bigger homes on larger acreage, we ought to probably doing better on property tax than we used to do.
Even it's a drop in the bucket. I mean, it is just, it's pathetic.
Well, then, if we don't, or if we lose Stake or Parson,
We have problems.
the county's gonna be running Charleston.
Well, that, or they're gonna come to each of you and say, okay, that's what you love being in Charleston, stroke me a check for $2,500 to be a resident of Charleston. Yeah. And now we can go afford to plow the roads, buy a truck, do those things. But look, this stuff doesn't happen without money.
Well, property tax has never been what you call a sustaining
No.
income, but I do believe that with bigger homes, I mean, we're talking $1 million homes going up.
So they're gonna pay their percentage of property tax, absolutely.
It's gonna bring it up more than it used to be in my era.
Still not enough, I'll tell you that.
Oh, no, never enough.
So you mentioned we don't have any sales tax, and that was one of the big issues about putting that commercial up there, was it's sales tax for the community. How much do we get out of it? That's what I thought. So we kind of sacrificed having commercial in Charleston for sales tax, but we don't get it.
We get some. We get some.
No, but it's not much.
That's because it's the type of businesses up there, they're
That's
from a
exactly.
warehouse.
Well, yeah.
Gas stations, but
Not storage
paying
trucks.
for sales tax.
Right,
and the rest of
a
it.
coffee
But
shop.
you have to have sewer to get the stuff to the gas station. So.
Yeah.
So one side note on running for town offices, you guys. You can fill out the paperwork and you can drop out at any time. If you decide you don't want to do it. So it doesn't hurt if you wanted to get in before that deadline. And then you can stew about it and then you can say, hey, I've changed my mind. I'm going to support this candidate instead. And you can recuse yourself from being on the ballot. So I'm just throwing that out there. So it's not like you have to have like a firm decision that, hey, this is for sure. I'm going guns blazing at this. What is it?
Got a question for you. So my family's generations, excuse me, generations deep here, and Casperville and everywhere. But, I've only been back for about 3 months.
12 months, to be permanent resident for 12 months. In order to have a candidacy.
But I'm,
Yeah, if you don't get paid for
I got it all filled out, I just gotta get it notarized.
years.
So,
You don't
I mean, my family built this.
You don't notarize it, you bring it to me and sign all that.
Yeah, hold on a second, we're gonna just look Karen.
so, go ahead, Karen.
She's the chair, have it notarized, that's not how it works. You bring it in and then I would just your signature and go through all the questions. And I'm the one that's the person that, I guess,
I know.
approves your
So-
candidacy because I'll be the one sending it. It's
So
not
when I-
a notary thing.
So when I first moved here in 2017, they were in the process of redoing their home-based business ordinance. And I started my business out of my house in Sandy, Utah. And I had very little friction with the city of Sandy. I did have a little bit, but very little friction. I had a business license down there, was able to start my business. And, you know, I feel that the town redid those ordinances in a way that would prohibit me from doing that same thing in the town of Charleston. And those are still the current ordinances, and I would love to have them revisited to make the cottage businesses more favorable, because it's really difficult right now to have those businesses.
Well-
And I was here less than a year, and I was pissed off. And I went to every single town meeting, and everybody got to know my name. And I wasn't here for a year, and they're all damn lucky that I wasn't here for a year, because I would have got on the town board that year. So I feel your pain. One other side note that I feel personally is when I go to the town meetings, which I go about maybe every 2 or 3 meetings, I'll show up. I try to be there. If I go there and I see someone who's running for town board, who's not at the meetings, who's not attending the meetings, who is completely disconnected from the issues with the town, I'm not gonna vote for them. So if you guys are deciding right now, like, hey, I wanna do this, in my opinion, you better be at every damn meeting from here on out till the election day, or you're not gonna get my vote. So that's my 2 cents, right?
This is
And-
my town.
Come to the meetings, you got 2 years. You can kick Don right off that.
I'll
town
give it
board.
to you.
So that's my personal
Yes,
thing.
9
There's
more
been
months.
multiple elections where I voted for candidates that I didn't necessarily love, but I voted for them because they showed up. You know, because they were there. And then, so that being said, like, just know you're not gonna get my vote if you don't show up and you're not active.
I gotta say, I gotta just stand, I have to stand saying one more. I thank you for that, because again, the attendance at our meetings is back. Right, has been since I've been here for a couple of years.
You know, when we're zooming in and watching.
There's more people. It's an awesome meeting than one.
I love that. But if it happens,
Yes, every meeting.
It shows your name, you don't sit there talking.
I do want to mention one thing, this is really important, when you look at the candidacy, you're looking for people that are involved, you're looking for people that care, and people that come to meetings. You're also looking for people with diversity and experience. And that's, I can't tell you how important that is. You need people that have background in law. You need people that have background in law. You need people that have background in governance. You have to have a variety of experiences, because that is the expertise that represents this community. And without that expertise, you get, right now things pretty dicey. You have to be very careful about who you're putting in office, what their background is, what their knowledge is, and then how they're going to leverage that to support them.
So I agree with you, Don, and I look at somebody who's been here all their life too.
Yeah.
And so if I was running against this guy, I'd vote for this guy. You know what I mean? Because you need to have institutional knowledge of the community and have that feel for it more.
You
So
know, my grandpa was the water.
I agree with you, Don, and I disagree with you a little.
If you could disagree all you want, right until you're the zoning officer.
My grandpa was the water master here for years.
Yeah. So I think here you should run when you've been here a little bit longer. Welcome back. That being said, how about we give Brenda the floor first?
Yeah.
To give a little thumping speech, Brenda, since she's the current mayor and she's the incumbent, dirty work. But let's give her an opportunity to speak, and then if there's anybody else who's thinking about it, you have an inkling that you want to run, this is your first campaign opportunity. You know, get up here and win our hearts and minds and explain to us why we should vote.
Okay, just to let you know,
Let's try to have one conversation, folks, please.
I have been here a lot of years. I've been either on the town council or a mayor for 16 years. I feel that this, when I look at this town, I look at it as someplace that's beautiful, that's homey, that's comfortable. I don't want to see growth either. I don't want to see our town to change. But if we're gonna change, we need to change on the outer edges, not in town. I would like to see a piece of 4-acre property in Charleston become a big grocery store or something like that. I would like to keep our main little town the way it is, right where it is. If we're gonna grow out on the edge of town. Yep, we have a lot of problems with that. But that is our best place for commercial property. Is up on that 100 acres. We've thought about this a lot. And when I am mayor, and my board is very important to me. I never make a big decision without my board members, do I? I mean, my board members mean the world to me, and they're good. Every one of them are good. Don has learned a lot this last year. He's done good. He's our zoning man, and I'll tell you what, he gets it done. And I feel that we need to look at keeping our town small, keeping it rural, keeping it where it is. But we do need the growth on the outside of town. Now, I'm not saying we need 500 homes put up on that 100 acres. I don't believe we need that. I believe if we get a few commercial properties up there, that would be wonderful. I'm not the kind of person that would say, let's just turn that over and put 500 homes up in there. I knew we had an overlay done 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. We had an overlay done for that piece of property up there. And that's about all it was rip top. Yeah. We never, ever agreed to that. We're getting a new general plan done right now. And we're working on that general plan, and I think until that general plan is done, we just need to back off and see what's gonna happen up there. What the general plan comes up with up there. I feel that the annexation would be good, but like I said, I'm here for the town. I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you guys have to say. I've been in office, in the mayor's office for 8 years. And I'll bet in that 8 years, I haven't had 5 people come into my office and sit down and say, this is what I think. I don't think this is good for our community. I don't think this is fair for our community. And I don't think we need this. My biggest person that comes in is Bob, and he has some good questions. And I try to answer them for him. That's what I need to know, is I need to be informed of what you guys want. If I'm not informed of that, how can I help do it? I am in that office 2 hours a day, 4 days a week. And if I have to be there longer, there's been sometimes I've been in that office all day long. I also have about 7 or 8 meetings I go to every month. If you're looking for a position, you are mayor 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You are there for the community. You are there for the people in the community. And that's where you need to be. But I think that it's very important that we all remember that we are a community. We love each and every one of us. We want to make sure that this community is run the way it should be. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see somebody coming in that's never been on the board, that has never been interested in this until it's time for election, and then they'll run for election. I think it's important that we have people in there with knowledge, and right now, I have a good board with good knowledge. Every one of them. I feel that we need to remember that when it's time to vote. And I think we need to understand that this is our town. I call it my town because I feel like it is my town. But it's our town, it's our community, and it's the only way that we can keep it that way. So.
Let me interject real quick. So in interest of time, is everybody okay keeping them to 5 minutes for speeches?
Hey,
Okay.
I'm probably done.
Are you done? Okay, you're done. Okay, so,
I got a
so,
question.
questions on rather.
Yes.
For you.
Out of the two
I'd like to hear you
candidates,
speak, and then you can work that out with Karen on exact resident times. So if you want to speak, you
Well,
can.
Karen knows how long I've been there.
Yeah, they're already leaving.
Okay.
you're.
So that being said,
But
who
you
would
still
like
have
to
to
go
be
next?
here, you have to
Bob,
have an address here.
Bob has a question.
That's just
Okay.
from
Bob, go ahead.
out of the two candidates.
Peggy knows too. Peggy's my second cousin.
Are they both running re-election?
Yes, I think they are both running for reelection.
Yeah, they are. I text them both and asked them, they both expressed it. One thing to keep in mind, Brenda loves her board, but they could run against her to become mayor too.
Yeah, that's true.
So there you
That's
go,
true.
Don. You step it up. Anyways, that being said, who would all like to speak? I know you two would. Anybody else? Bob wants to speak.
Okay, I've got
So-
a conditional situation here.
So on these little candidate speeches, just in interest of time, guys, and like I said, this is an open discussion here. I think we hold questions till the end after they speak. Let's give them all 5 minutes, and then afterwards, we can have a discussion with whoever wants to ask questions. That can go reasonably late.
Board money.
But go ahead, Bob. Let's hear what you had to say, Mr. Bob.
Earth Bob.
Let's hear your
Bob.
comment.
That's all been taken care of.
Oh, man, there you go. We got the former mayor and the current mayor. They're
She's doing her
making
job.
secret plans over here.
All right,
No
Lynn
secrets.
Fountain, formerly Lynn Flora. Said I've been here since I was about that tall. And, I've seen the growth and whatnot, and, you know, I'm looking, and there's another house, and there's another house, and there's another house. And yes, we have the rights to move, they have rights to build, and, but they're all estates. And our property values go up, and, you know, it's all good, and we have to let them. But we also have to listen to, because now they're part of Charleston, we need to listen to everybody's concerns. It's we people, we're gonna wear that hat. But we have to, we might be the board, but we have to do, and we have to listen to the people, and we have to do what the people want, not what the board decides. So,
The board should decide.
yeah, the board decides, yeah. The board decides, but we should be listening to what the people want. We used to have a gas station up, it was called the Prairie, had the best donuts in the world. Jones's. I don't remember. Jones was the last name, and there was a little gas station up there, and all the trucks and stuff stopped in there. But it was on septic, and we put a gas station in there. we're gonna have to have sewer, and we're gonna have to have a pump, and we're gonna have to pump it back up. And there's money coming in from the Olympics, and everybody's going, hey, let's utilize that, we can save this much. But what it's gonna, when things start failing,
I haven't seen any money from the Olympics.
yeah, it's coming.
Yeah.
They came last time.
Yeah.
But it's not this time. We don't see them.
So I'm just, this is part of what I've been thinking about. And then I've been going to the airport meetings and stuff, and they bought bunkers. If you know where bunkers is on 3,000 and probably like first east or second east. And they bought that out, there was 6 acres, they bought the next house down and the next house down. Now, if that's gonna be a runway, how are you gonna have a gas station next to it?
It's not in this, it's not in, they have moved the zoning back so that the gas station could still be there if they so decide to. There's still a lot of ifs and,
yeah.
and what on that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So,
I should-
so that's why I'm
You're good.
running, is because I wanna find out more and have more input about,
So are you running for mayor?
oh, hey, no. I don't know, but, bed sheet from a, what do they call them? A running, a computer thing.
So you
See,
still
yeah.
have 2 more minutes. If you wanted to field some questions, you still have 2 more minutes.
Okay, so, yeah, I'm not running for mayor, I'm running for town council. So. Anybody else?
Well, one question or one comment, maybe, the last time the Olympics came here, John Whiting was the mayor.
Yeah.
They, the Olympic board, or I don't know who was, offered Charleston money to put sewer in.
Yep.
And John was all excited, oh boy, yeah, we're gonna look at all this money.
Yep.
And he came and talked to me and I said, no, I don't think so, let's put it up for a vote. And we turned it down,
Yep.
best thing we ever did.
Yeah.
So you
my
don't want
dad
that
was-
money.
My dad was still
Right.
alive then, and they put out a questionnaire on what everybody wanted. And everybody was like, no way, we don't want curb and gutter, they were offering us all sorts of things. And sewer was the big thing, no way. As soon as we do that, we'll look just like that. I also want to make sure I put, if we get on the town board, it's really hard for all of us to know what's going on. It's really hard for all of us to take the time on Thursdays to make sure that we're either on Zoom or finding out what's going on with the town council. So I was thinking that, I mean, I know there's a little email that comes out, but make it simpler for common folk to get the information.
What's not simple? I said, is there something
Just,
that you're not
just,
getting?
just so.
I maybe address that. For me, I used to like to get hard copy
Mhm,
of the minutes
mhm.
on my computer. I can't hear even when I'm there. I've got this full blast and it's working all right. But we need to get back to the day where you can go online or at this next month's board meeting, pick up last month's minutes so that we can read them.
Well, then they have to be approved that night, and then they're posted to the state website. And I've been working with Bert because the website, our website was hard to post to, but I think we've got it figured out, so they should all be posted now.
Yeah.
So you should be able to get them on as a
Yeah, I
PDF right now, but I can't post them until they're printed, until they're approved.
I understand that. I used to subscribe. Maybe we'll have to resubscribe to the state website.
You should have to, you should have to website.
Yeah, but I used to get it automatic.
It was a spreadsheet, depends on the day.
I should be there and on our website. I try to post them that night now, we've got things figured out, so.
All right, Sean, got a question. I wanna ask you 3 different things. Okay.
One, how much you love your family.
Wholeheartedly,
Okay,
wholeheartedly healthy,
how much you love your horses.
even more.
Well, your son's down right there, don't And how much do you love this community?
Just as much as all three. I mean, just wholeheartedly, body, soul, mind. And it was spreadsheet
From a bet you.
from a bed sheet. Finally come to me. I was gonna run last time and then I found out that I was sickly. And so now I'm pretty much back on my feet. So I'm ready to try to run again.
So,
Oh,
You got
Jan wanted to be here. What's Jan's last name? Wilson. Wanted to be here, but she's going to her daughter's graduation in Idaho or something. Her granddaughter.
Is there something to
And
say
he's gonna
about,
run for mayor.
is there something to say about Jen and her intentions about this whole thing?
She didn't give us any information. Yeah, she does.
Can you share that?
Just that she's not here.
You want to
She wanted to, but she couldn't. Same thing with Lori, family things pop up. And
Yeah, I know she wanted to be here. Is there any rumors going around that she may be vying for one of the positions?
yes, she's running for mayor.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that.
All right,
Any other candidates or?
anybody thinking about that?
Not for a year.
Have a three-legged
so
race?
you're confident that you won't be able to, because of how long?
They can't run.
Okay. Alright, it is a 12-month thing, so.
All right.
No more candidates, should we move on to?
This tall.
You know. I know, and it's, I'm fine if you get up and speak, and I'm sure everybody else here don't care either. It's, you can work that out with Karen and the logistics of dating and like that. So.
Sean, would there be any way to do a forum like this after everybody has got their paperwork in, so we can talk to the candidates?
I think we should do this. I mean, so I've been here since 2017. This is the first time that I've ever heard of something like this going on in the community. And personally, I feel like this is important.
I do too.
And I'm really grateful that Laurie was able to share her beautiful home with us and, be willing to host this. I wasn't supposed to be the head person hosting this. It's supposed to be Laurie. You got out of it, but, you understand what things happen. But I think that we should do this again. Don't you guys think?
Yeah, yes.
I'd love to see all the candidates here so we could ask them questions.
I think it'd be great. And I
Meet the
mean,
candidates.
to be honest, guys, I was expecting about 6 to 8 people. The turnout is great, and we have some people on Zoom as well. And so, and I posted the Zoom link about an hour before the meeting. And so late tonight, we were talking about it. We had the Zoom link planned out yesterday, but we wanted to encourage people to come in person. So we threw it out there last minute because we knew that Laurie wasn't going to be here, and she obviously wants to participate, right?
And I
So-
think it's a good idea, Sean, too, that maybe at the end of June, when everybody casts their, hats
Puts in
in
their-
it, and that we, maybe at the end of June, we do it again.
I'm sure Laurie can echo this, but I feel like the more people we have involved in the process, the better. And so when I do go to the town meetings, and it's me and Bob and Dave, that's the people who are there. I'd like to see so many people that they have to move it into the gym. That'd make me happy.
Maybe one thing is before, because we had a great turnout, right?
Yeah.
Find out
That's
how
what I thought was
people
gonna
heard about it, so that we know the best forms of communication to keep getting more people out.
Yeah.
That
So-
might be, could
so I-
you put it on a couple,
So I posted it on Facebook.
that's
And
what I
then
heard.
I have an email list that I made years ago. I robbed all the emails from the church website.
Yeah.
For the local ward, and then Brenda made the mistake to not blind carbon copy everybody on her email once. And so I stole the town list from Brenda's email, and I've combined the two, and that's where I've got my email list, but, I mean, I'm sure the town's list is more complete than the one that I have.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe we
But
should
not
have
everybody
some sort of
checks their
forum
emails,
to.
so it's good to know, like,
Yeah.
how people find out, so that you know the best form, obviously do on multiple still, but.
Yeah.
Did the majority of people see it on Facebook? That's where I saw it.
I mean, let's raise hands. You got the email, you saw it on
And I don't
Facebook.
even use Facebook that much. It's just.
Who heard
I'm
about it
so
from word of
happy
mouth?
So who's word of mouth?
Word of mouth, who got word of mouth?
Got a telephone call from Sean.
Okay, I did reach out. to
Different
the
Sean.
town board.
It's another one now. Not Sean. Not this Sean.
Saw it on Facebook.
I did,
Okay.
and I really don't check.
Who got the emails? Okay, so we had 2 people get the email, but 4 people.
I think
saw
I was
it.
the only one that answered on it.
Yeah, well, there was a couple. that
My
I-
recommendation is that we send a postcard out to all the residents in Charleston and asking them to give the town access to their email account so that they can get the updates.
Or a
Yeah.
text message. I don't check my emails because there's so many.
Telephone
that
number
you're
and
getting.
text.
But a text message that you could say, hey, there's a meeting tonight, everybody checks their text, everyone here has a meeting tonight.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's a text message.
Yeah, I agree, yeah, I think, but, I think that's.
All right, guys, hey, so Sean here, he does want to speak.
So anybody wants, these,
Um,
I gotta take off.
Yeah, so this is the candidacy form, right?
Yes. And it does have to be, you can fill it out, the conflict of interest has to be turned in when you declare candidacy. That is a must, that's a new thing this year. You don't sign anything until you're in front of me, we go through the whole list.
And so the deadline is what, Karen?
June 2nd through the 6th, so Monday, from next Monday to next Friday. 5 PM on Friday, so, but I'm not there on
So-
Friday, so if anybody needs to do a Friday, I need to know in order to schedule a time for you. I have other commitments, but I can break away if needed. So, but you can go through this, it's the rules and the state codes and everything for that.
Okay.
So, and I'll have more in my office, or
Then we're
they don't,
right now.
nobody takes these, just bring them back to me. And I'll keep them at the office, if nobody wants to do it here, they don't care, they can come get it from me tomorrow, doesn't matter. But I have food in the oven and I gotta go.
Karen.
Nobody,
So she didn't have to be here tonight?
Sure, so.
I look, give her a round of applause.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
So, yeah,
Karen.
You still holding on to my saddle?
it's there,
Okay.
they're going on consignment here pretty quick though.
Okay, thanks for coming. You guys head down?
Yeah, I have to leave, but nice to
Okay.
meet you.
Anyway, thanks guys, I will talk to you soon.
So we'll plan it again, we'll try to communicate it the best we can, and you guys are down, but Sean, did you wanna get up and speak real quick?
Yeah, just,
So we'll
just for a
figure
second.
out whether or not you can legally run, that's another problem, but if you wanna get up, take a few minutes, tell us about yourself.
So, some of y'all know me,
Oh,
no?
well,
You're
I think
sitting,
y'all
you're
know
sitting
that
next
we
to
did
my
it.
second cousin.
yeah, no, I understand the relationship.
My name is Sean Casper. I was born and raised in this valley. The worst thing that I wanna see that happens to this valley is it going away. I'm not against production, I'm not against progress. But where it comes down to where we live, where we stay, that's what I'm against. So when it comes into the water taxes on that development, they're gonna cost every one of you more money. That's what I'm against. Mr. Mayor, I know you're in favor of it.
Oh, I'm not totally in favor of it. I'm not totally in favor of it. I'm just there to listen and do, and the board has the final say on it. I don't. Okay, and as far as, water taxes, the developer will be paying for all of that, won't he, Scott? Won't he?
No, the developer is
The
required,
Wow.
is required
Okay,
to
I
produce. They're required to do that.
Yeah.
Or they
The
don't.
same way with the gas station. If the gas station
So-
goes in, they're required to put the sewer down to 3,000 south, and that's it.
Right. I understand that 100%. I do. But is that really what you want?
No, not really.
Okay.
I want to see this community grow, but not the point to where we have 500
I mean,
rooftops up
we
there.
had a gas station down on the corner. In
Oh, yeah.
1971,
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
okay, no,
we all know.
Lenny and Tim lived in that house.
Same thing about my grandpa's.
Gas station.
Oh. So, all I'm saying is, sometimes we gotta just take a step back and analyze what's going forward.
And that's what we're doing right now. We're stepping back a step. We're looking at this annexation again.
Yep.
We're looking at, the holiday oil again. We don't know if that's gonna go. We don't know if it's not. At this point, it's gonna be up to the board that decides that. I'll go along with whatever the board says.
Yep.
That's what I do.
I'm not against a gas station somewhere out here. I
As
mean,
long as it's not right here in town.
as long as it's not here in town.
That's
You
what I
know,
don't.
I mean, we can put it on Midway Corner. Well, the mayor's, Karen's gone. They might get mad about that.
They won't put it down on that corner, cause that's underwater all the way. Yeah. Do you know that?
Oh, I know, it floods. I literally love this community. There's nothing I could say more about it. I've been up in Montana for quite a while, but when I come back here, this is family.
Where do you
Still
live?
feels like
Where do you live now?
family.
Just out of curiosity.
He's living with me.
So, you know, my Aunt Penny.
Yeah.
She lives in my grandpa's house.
I just
My dad's house was next door.
That's. Well, they left, but
Yeah,
It's not-
they left, they bought property from my grandpa. I don't wanna waste a good thing that we have here. I mean, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a private community that has thrived. We thrive on children and family.
That's true.
So I just wanna keep that. I wanna keep that. I don't wanna. I've seen it happen in too many different places. I mean, I don't wanna see that disappear.
Do you want to take questions? Just curious. Yeah.
I mean, we're at the point right now, guys, where we have two mayor and concurrent town board member here. We have two people here that would like to run. Why don't we just have? What's that?
You can't legally run.
You
So-
can't legally run.
You can't change
So
the law,
It's a
Okay.
new point.
but
I
in a year you can.
I know.
But he can say how he feels.
Absolutely.
Anybody out can say how they feel.
And he'll have to work it out, the logistics, if he were gonna run,
A year's a
so
short
he would
time.
have to get that worked out.
I am gonna run.
So you can run in 2 years if you can't run this time.
I'll give you one.
So I mean, it's not my job to qualify. And so,
Miss Mayor,
if he wants to try to do it, then he's gotta go get that worked out on the legal side. So I just figured we'd give him the opportunity to speak in case that is the case.
I know you've done a hell of a job.
Well, and I plan on continuing doing that hell of a job, you guys. I love this community just as deeply as anybody does, so I want to see it become, I don't want to see it become a big city. I don't want to see that, but, you know, growth is growth and we have to do it in the right manner. We have to do our growth in the right manner. And that's why we took a step back and we're looking at this annexation now, we're looking at the whole thing. If the community don't want that, then I don't want it.
That's all I ask.
So does
Just-
anybody have any
just-
questions?
just
for
take
the-
a step back and relook at it.
Any questions?
One behind you.
All right, guys, for everybody, please, we're asking for John. Does anybody have any questions for Dawn or Brenda or anybody who wants to run while we're here? So I'll start, I have a question.
Okay,
Do we still have that 400,000 in the account that was loan money that we got, 2% interest or
No.
whatever?
What?
I took that.
what?
There's some excess money, we were talking about paving the cemetery, there was some leftover loan money.
You're
from the
talking
road fund.
about, you're talking about Winterton.
Yeah,
We paid that. The money we had left from that, we paid the rest of the roads in the town.
okay, so it all got used.
It all got used.
I was wondering if they still.
Because BCI would not let us keep that money.
Okay,
So we used it to do the rest of the roads in town.
okay,
And we've got a good start now if we just keep them updated and they won't get like they were years ago.
If you have enough money, you use all of
So-
the containment.
Yeah.
So my question is, how do we get more money?
Great question. And what's the answer?
It's not that development.
So what's the answer?
Taxes.
we're gonna sell field pictures, come on.
What's the answer?
What is, and I want to tell you,
Answer,
Yeah, what's the answer?
oh, you don't wanna hear my answer.
No, I
Oh,
do.
no,
If we don't have everybody's answer.
Okay, so you have $400,000?
No.
no,
No,
no.
yeah, I was wondering if they still had it, it sounds like they spent it, so.
Okay, so. Wait a minute, man. No. Yeah, you're not gonna like this, I'll sit down.
No, seriously, what is the answer
Okay, so,
or an answer?
and answer,
Yes.
okay, okay, so the farmers around here. Will hate me.
What is an answer? No matter who.
I'm getting there.
Yes.
So. In our little community, I mean, we've got a bunch of farmers. That work under water tax. That they pay. For irrigation. And, I mean, as you know, my grandpa was water master for years. But, I think the only valuable way without increasing house taxes is a little bit more on the water tax. Yeah, I know, I heard that.
No.
I'm curious
how much.
It's only $40 a month.
My,
Right,
yeah, I mean,
right.
I paid
But-
water tax, I have irrigation water.
Okay, so how much do you pay a month?
It's $36 a year, I mean, it's
Okay,
nothing.
$36.
It's nothing.
A
But
year.
yeah,
year.
yeah, a year,
A year,
a
okay,
year,
okay,
that for
okay,
irrigation water, I
okay.
don't have very much, I only
Okay,
have 2
okay, hear
acres.
me out.
Yeah, how much would that raise?
So if we went to
We don't.
$40.
We don't.
No, $400. I'm just curious as to how much we could raise as a town by.
Okay, so if you add
Irrigation water.
if you add your $4 a month or a year, and his $4 a year, and his $4 a year, and her $4 a year, and her $4 a year.
I'm pretty good at math.
Yeah.
So I just wanna know, what is the total that we could raise as a town?
I mean, we're looking
How many houses do we have times 4?
within a year.
Plus the other.
So,
Say
200, so guys,
Okay.
we're beating ourselves up over nothing
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
you don't get the money anyway.
the
It's
town
not
will
the
get
town.
the money.
Yeah,
The town does not get the money.
Oh, I didn't know.
on
that.
water taxes.
Right.
The Charleston Water Conservation District gets their money,
And
the
it's
irrigation company gets their money. The town does not get any money.
I did not know that.
That's good information. See, we got some good information.
That's why we need to.
Yeah, that's why we need to
Yeah,
come.
I have
They have a sewer meeting down there at the town hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
The town.
so it just comes down to, there's gotta be a different way to figure it out.
Well, and that's why we need good people to be on board, but I was just saying, I remember when they did that sewer meeting. All these meetings, and they're talking about sewer on, the fronts and backs and middle, and then we had a sewer meeting. And man, we filled the whole gymnasium full of people that didn't know what the hell was going on.
Right.
And had they been
Nobody's
paying
coming to the
attention,
meetings.
had they been coming to the meetings,
Yeah.
we've been over this so many freaking times in the town meetings. And I don't even go to all the town meetings. And I already knew what was going on with sewer, I knew about the lift pumps, and I knew the shit doesn't run uphill.
And you
But
Yeah.
South.
But you know what? We had so many people at that meeting, it was a hot button issue, and I was glad to see them.
Yeah.
And so hopefully this forum has been useful, and we've lost half of our people with you guys, but hopefully this is useful. What I want to see out of this, and I think I already could echo this, I believe, is I just wanted to see people get involved, be aware of what's going on, and should be able to have a meaningful say in what's going on in our community. So that's what I wanted to get out of this, so I don't know, we're kind of.
Well said, well
In
done.
the weeds here a little bit, if anybody else has any good
I
questions.
didn't know that information.
Clayton?
I got some easy questions for Don, Brenda, and Paul. So, I guess kind of what Don's point was, where does our money come from?
It's a great question.
Which
Yeah.
I actually have no idea.
So we get very little sales tax revenue that comes from Staker Parsons. They're pretty much the biggest retail outfit that we have.
Okay, Sacred Parsons is in the commercial.
It's across industrial.
Right next to my house.
Industrial.
They take my house periodically.
Oh,
let me know if they're
okay,
there.
I know that.
It's a little shady, and I'm like,
Comes
man, I'm
from-
trying to get their money.
It comes from property taxes. It comes from BNC road money. BNC road money comes from gas sales. And BNC roads give us back so much depending on our size. It comes from
Sales tax.
sales tax.
Very little.
It comes from, I'm trying to think everything that was on that budget paper. Can't remember them all.
Yeah.
But we went,
So they're the do.
yeah, we went from, when I first took over mayor, we was at $350,000 a year was our budget. We're now up to about, this year, I think our budget is $570 something. So we have done pretty good, and we
570,000.
570,000, yeah.
I'm like, oh, 570 here, I'll write a check.
But everything we have bought over the last 8 years and everything we have done over the last 8 years. So I think we're doing really well.
You are doing amazing
I
with
think
that
we-
little tiny bit of money.
And
It's just a.
when I first become mayor, I had the mayor of Heber and the mayor of Midway. We went to lunch one day. And they were talking about the pickleball courts. And they said, could we depend on Charleston to give us $50,000 for pickleball court? I said, yeah, and I said, absolutely not, that's more than our budget. So, yeah,
Okay, do you know what our biggest income is? Like on that little sheet you're talking about, you know what our biggest, highest income?
property taxes.
That's our biggest.
Okay, and
source of revenue.
you're saying, even property tax being our biggest source of income, you're also saying that was also a pennant that.
Yeah.
Dropped the bucket.
Because the state takes property taxes and redistributes based on population. We have a small population. We get very.
Okay, that probably answers my third question of what would be the best way to raise it, like he was trying to ask, and that's a good question. That's a good question.
So it's a balancing act, okay, we
Yeah.
don't want a large population. But in order to have income of some kind to run this down, to fix the roads, to do all these things, fix the water pipes, take care of the water tank that we all drink our water. We need some way you know, we gotta balance it, guys. It's not easy.
It's not. I'll tell you what.
These guys are doing a yeoman's work. And thank you. I know I will not run. I'm very old.
Me too. But I'm
It's
I know we need you.
Revenue for the town, you would.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's a tough question, but it's gotta come from,
Budget. We need it long enough.
it's gotta come from.
It's all mine.
And for businesses or I just housing to increase.
Which is just property tax, which can.
Check. The budget is online, so you can go out there and look at the budget.
Oh.
We'll be approving it in next meeting. So, if you
can't find it, call Karen.
talk to her, she'll text or email it to you or something.
No, sounds good. I can pop online. That's easy enough.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions? If not, I got like 20 more.
Go ahead.
All right, with that, so if the 100 acres are bought into the 100 acres are annexed into Charleston, it's, we already answered the question, but it's an RA5, so it's 5 acres residential, 5 acres, commercial, agriculture. So it'd be a 5-vote cancel for that to be changed to a different thing for high density housing.
So it would have to go through town council, it'd have to be rezoned.
So it's voted.
Plan, okay.
So it would be processed and not just gonna be, oh, they're annexed, here's high density housing. It's
But if the planning commission is made up of residents of Charleston, council is made up of residents of Charleston.
so yeah, most of the people, okay. Nope, that makes sense. And is there already someone that's wanting to put high density housing up there, or is this just kind of hearsay? Is someone already wanting to do that?
Sure.
High density housing?
Yeah, like the ton of like someone like, hey, I will do this, and that's what kind of annex it.
He brought a plan to me the other day that is probably really reasonable, but I'm still not happy with it. For that 43 acres or whatever it is there.
That's it.
I'm still not happy with it, but it is a lot better than what I have seen other
Who brought
proposals
it,
here.
Brenda? Who brought it?
The guy that's developing that property of
Josh.
Baker,
Becker?
Josh Becker. is his name.
And that's gonna benefit Charleston now.
Well, we'd get more property taxes, we'd get taxes from the commercial property. But like I say, are we gonna do this or are we not? And it's up to the community. Let us know how you feel.
So I'm gonna be really, really blunt. Because I'm a money guy, right? And if it doesn't make sense financially, I won't do it. So it's gonna come down to the point that we need more money to operate this town, period. We need more people to operate this town. If we're gonna have sewer, we gotta have a sewer development plan. Okay. Where do you get the money from that? You either bring in some form of sales tax revenue, or we come to each of you and ask you to stroke a check for $2,000. And that might be an exaggeration, but you want to live here?
Not an exaggeration.
You want to live here? You want to have drinkable water? You want to have these things? You either help find a way to bring in revenue,
Or you
or
pay.
you get out your check, or you don't drink water. Your choice.
That's why we grow hay.
That,
So in
Yes,
in my opinion, that land we're gonna annex,
To drink?
I think
Don't
that's
grow
a good
hay.
part of it should be
No,
commercial. Grocery store would be a good idea, but something that's gonna have sales tax revenue.
yeah.
And so like, when I first moved up here and I was so pissed off about those small business ordinances. So my business is primarily a service industry, right? And service industry businesses pay very little sales tax. But we do rent equipment, and anytime that I have an equipment rental, I have to charge sales tax, collect sales tax on that. Right, so for a short amount of time, I had a Charleston business license and we were reporting sales tax through the Charleston Township, right? So when they did that ordinance, I personally felt very attacked as a small business owner. And I felt like the town was completely anti-business. And I'm still mad about that ordinance, just so you know, the two town board members here. But we have to be a business friendly town because the tax revenues that we get from all these other activities, you know, property, whatever, it's not gonna be significant. We have to have an engine like Staker Parson, but guess what? I have a love-hate relationship with Staker Parson living next to him. But I'll tell you right now, all our eggs are in that basket, and I know that as a town. And
That's
I try to keep my mouth shut as a resident who's annoyed with it, because I know that.
You know, a Staker person is a company that's owned out of Ireland.
Well, it's Scott Parson, I believe, is president.
But the company. Staker person, the whole company.
But
is out
the
of
real
Ireland.
estate is owned by Deanna Bingley, who lives over on the.
Maybe.
Yeah. and it's owned by Mel McClary.
Yeah, so going off of,
We have to have money.
the tax, the grocery store then actually increased. In the grocery store and getting sales tax, that would also was a big increase in revenue on the gas station.
I wouldn't call it big, but it would be more than what we have. And again, gas station, you don't get any sales tax on gas.
Gas station.
Yeah, like you're saying, yeah, no, so
Sales tax on a gas station for people going in and buying drinks,
Yeah.
bag of potato chips, a hot dog, stuff like that, but still.
Miss Mary.
So,
Where's,
I like
if we got a grocery store, that sewer down, then before.
so
sewer
we're
down,
talking right on the intersection of 2400.
No, we're talking about the gas station on 3,000 and the stock.
At stop on the north side.
Yeah.
So it's 7:45. I wanna wrap this by 8. Alright, is that fair?
Yeah.
Good with that? Laurie, we're here at your home. Do you have any questions for the town board members?
No, I think there was a lot of questions and answered. I mean, it appears that there's, I'm still uncertain on, the annexation, but I also understand honestly what, Don is saying, like, we need money and there's nothing bringing in any sales tax revenue. So how does it get done?
My concern is we need money, and again, like I said before, we need control. Because if that parcel of land, and I am not in favor necessarily of making Charleston bigger, but if that parcel of land goes to the county or Heber or Daniel, we have no say. And they can do whatever they want. They can put up high-rise apartments like they did over by Walmart.
Right.
They can do whatever they want with that land. If Charleston, the mayor, the town board, and we the people don't have say if we give up our control.
So I was living in Sandy when they developed Quarry Bend, where they put the Walmart and the Home Depot.
Yeah.
I lived in the neighborhood just right up above it. And I can tell you from living there before that development was there and after the development was there. It completely changed the whole neighborhood. You had transient traffic walking through the street, people selling drugs. It was crazy.
We will have no
So-
control
so-
if we give up that.
So I like to respect private property rights. But that being said, it has to grow within reason.
Absolutely.
And you're exactly right. It's, I guess section there was county through.
Yeah,
You have no say in it.
exactly like what's over by Walmart, exactly.
But I mean, look at the property that the county had there for a year when I was in high school.
Hey, thanks for the.
I think so.
Dog.
Guys, I'm gonna go.
Thanks for comparing some of the concepts.
Do you need any?
Nothing but, nothing but. Major big thing.
For me, for her,
County rate.
for her.
County.
You do just, and then see me and bring up.
Thanks for coming, guys. We'll do it again. Just have good questions. You got Brenda's still here, talk to her directly. Bob, he's got lots of questions here. I said, you got answers, lots of questions. But we'll try to do this again. Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for hosting, Laura.
You gotta ride home.
Your house is awesome. We love your house.
It's coming up right now, Lori.
Muted.
All
Unmuted.
right, Lori, I'm in the Zoom call.
All right, I'll call Sean. Thanks, Leighton.
Appreciate your service.